She took this in the way she had learned to take things that were accurate and not actionable. She looked at it directly for the length of time it took to understand it completely. And then, she put it where she put those things. She understood what it meant. The man who had said put it in the report anyway, who had organized a permanent weight into a livable shape, who had stood at the water with the face of someone who knows the cost and has decided not to stop paying it. He had looked at something he did not want to know and had made a selection. The same move she had made at the basin. Different water. The same move. They had both been standing inside something neither of them had named and neither of them had spoken. And he had chosen his version and she had chosen hers. And the choosing had been, in its way, the same act performed by two people who had learned it from different elements and never compared notes. She held this for exactly as long as she needed to. Then she set it down. "Then say what you came to say," the witch said. "I already said it," the siren said. "I came back without it. You know what that means. So do I." "Yes," the witch said. "We both do." After, the space was quieter than it had been before she arrived. She did not look at the water in the immediate aftermath. She had noticed this about herself at the dock, that she did not look at the water after the things she had done that she was still determining how to carry. The dock. Now here. The pattern was the same. She noted it and did not examine it further. Her eyes went to the walls, to the floor of the deep, to the faint luminescence in the darkness above her. The witch's body was returning to the current in the same increments as everything else that ended here. The materials dispersing into the water receiving them without marking the reception. She registered this as she always registered temperatures and pressures as information. And then she registered something else. The place in the water where the witch had been was neither warmer nor colder than the surrounding depth. It was neutral, in a way that water only becomes when it has held something long enough for the distinction between the thing and the water to dissolve. 40 years in this place. The water had absorbed the temperature of her so completely that removing her left no thermal trace. The system was indifferent to the form. The witch and the last deep school had returned to the same water at the end. The siren had always known this about the deep. She had not, until now, had occasion to verify it at this range. She moved to where the witch had been. She did not sit immediately. She held the space and waited for something, without knowing what she was waiting for. There was nothing ceremonial about what happened next. It began in the hands. She had not decided to do anything with her hands. She became aware of them, as though from a distance, the way you become aware of your breathing when someone mentions it. And they were positioned differently than she had positioned them. Palms down, slightly forward, fingers spread in the water at the precise angle that maximized surface contact with the current. She had not put them there. The body had put them there, responding to something that had not yet reached her conscious attention, the way it had learned to walk on gravel in the dark without her deciding to learn. Then, the pressure changed quality. Not intensity, quality. The same weight, carrying more information than it had been carrying a moment ago. She had spent her life reading pressure as directional, as a signal about what was approaching from a given vector. Now it was arriving from every direction simultaneously, and every direction was organized, and the organization was not random. It was the outline of what was coming, blurred at the edges, sharp at the center. She understood this was the forward sight arriving. She understood that it did not ask permission. The first thing it showed her was the prince. She had not asked to see him. She had not directed the sight toward anything. It had not been in her possession long enough for her to know how to direct it. The sight did not distinguish between what she wanted to see and what she was going to see anyway. She would learn this over time, in the same way she had learned to walk on gravel, through repetition and adjustment, and the body finding its way before the mind had finished deciding. This was going to be the condition of the seat, that the sight arrived where it arrived, and she received what it brought. And not all of what it brought would be what she would have chosen to know. For now, what the sight showed her first was what she had been thinking about most recently, which was him. He was at the water, evening light on the harbor. He would continue to come here. She could see the shape of the years, not in detail, in outline. And in the outline, he was at the water for a long time. He did not know she was gone. He did not know what had almost happened, or what had not happened, or why the account remained open. He would grow old in the harbor he had inherited, with its names in its ledgers, and its quotas that moved in reports that did not change the quotas. He would stand at the water for years. He would carry the weight of what he knew and could not fix the same way he had always carried it, organized into habit, made livable, put where things go that are accurate and not actionable. He would be fine. Not whole. Fine. She held this longer than she had intended to. The sight offered it, and she held it, and she understood that holding it was not going to be a choice she could make cleanly, going forward in this position. She received that information the same way she was receiving everything else, as something to know and carry and continue with. Then the sight moved past him, not because she released it, but because it had somewhere further to go, and it was going there regardless. She saw the next one. No face yet, no name. A tail moving through the dark water with the specific rhythm of something that has made a decision and is executing it. Behind her, through the water column that rose toward the surface, the luminescence of the upper depth showed the hulls of the boats in silhouette, covering the surface the way they covered it every morning before the light arrived, the way they had covered it the morning the siren herself had looked up at them from the deep and felt the thing between grief and fury crystallize into purpose and begin, finally, to move. Not abstractly, precisely. The rhythm of the tale. Purposeful, in the way that grief becomes purposeful when it has been held long enough without release. The decision already completed before the depth was reached. The mandate assembled and ready. the logic clean. The tools not yet received, but already understood as necessary. The voice not yet given. The name not yet taken. Everything still intact, still ahead, still unspent. Every war begins with someone who decides that watching is no longer enough. The one moving through the water had already decided. She did not know yet what the surface would cost her. She did not know about the thing the mandate does not warn against, because the warning makes no difference and has never made a difference. She did not know about the notebook, or the dock, or the basin, or the 3 days, or the 12 counted on the pilings, or the night in the room when the dark thinned at the window and the ledger stayed open on the same page. She did not know about the seat, or the sight, or what it was going to feel like to watch the surface continue from below it, with no way to change the direction of the current. The siren in the deep knew all of this. She would tell her none of it. The telling made no difference. The witch had told her everything she needed to know, and it had made no difference. The telling was not the function of the seat. The function of the seat was to receive her, and make the pact, and give her the tools, and watch her go, and see what the sight showed about where she was going, and hold all of it in the place where you hold things that are accurate and not actionable, and wait. The next one was close now. She could feel the pressure of her approach in the organized quality of the current, the way the deep registers the movement of something that belongs in it. The siren settled her hands in the water, palms down, fingers spread, the angle that maximized contact with the current. She waited.